Hello everybody and welcome to the first lecture for CS453 Mobile App Development. And this is the first lecture of the online series. As you have all hopefully been made aware of, our class, the last class meeting we had was for the midterm, to return the results of the midterm, which was last Tuesday, 3/10. During that class meeting, I returned the midterm exams that we had taken on Tuesday, 3/3. And during that class meeting, we went over the correct answers, and that was pretty much it. And then I told you I was going to pick up on fragments. But unfortunately, the class meeting on 3/12 was canceled. 3/12 was also the day that the third programming assignment was due. And you still have 7 days grace on that. In fact, you can have an extra extension if you need on that because we did not have class on 3/12. Program number 3 is the flashcard program that uses the database. And the main objective on that is to get familiar with database connectivity. So that's the program number 3. People are still turning it in, which is good. So if you haven't turned it in yet, you should be working on program number 3. The database connectivity class. And I went over the database stuff in class as well prior to the midterm. So we're up to date with that. And so what we're working on now is I need to continue and show you the fragment example, and then we're going to get into maps. I'm going to wait for the next video for program number 4, which uses Google Maps, because I need to show you how to do the Google API. So we'll do that next. But right now, for today's lecture, which is for Tuesday, 3/17, this lecture, I want to finish up the fragments because fragments are an important part of design and you want to be familiar with how to implement a fragment. So I'm going to show you how to do the fragments. I have a little fragment exercise. And then from the fragments, not in this video, but the next one, we will move on to Google Maps for assignment number 4. So that's where we're at in the class, and we have another week. We're going to have spring break soon. I suspect we might go back to the regular class meetings on 4/7, but I will keep you posted and let you know when that happens. But we are getting sort of close to the end of the class here. We have April and, well, first part of May. We have about a month left. So we might end up continuing in the online format, or we might go back to face-to-face classes. Who knows what's going to happen? Depends on the progress, I guess, we make with controlling the virus. So anyway, so let's get on with it. So 453 folder in the examples, and I just sorted by date. The last one that I had stuck in there for March 1st was the fragment example. Remember the menus example, the database example, the ratings bar example. If you're looking for these examples, you missed any of the in-class demonstrations, you can find the text here. Okay, so if you click on that, this is easier than typing it. I can demonstrate the concepts, show you how to do fragments, and we don't have to worry about typing. Okay, so I've opened up my Android Studio, and I'm going to start a new Android project. And I am going to select the empty activity, and I'm going to click on Next. And let's see, I'm just going to call this one Fragments. Fragments, and I'm going to put it on my desktop and just click on Finished, and we're going to finish this up real quick here. All right, and I'm going to wait for a few minutes. I guess the cool thing about doing this on a video is I can always pause the video if this takes too long, but this should work out okay. And probably the screen's a little clearer than when you see it in the classroom as well. Not only that, but you can pause the video, take a break, come back. There's a lot of advantages to doing the video format. And I'm a little bit out of practice, I'll admit to that. But as I continue to record these videos for all of my classes, I'm going to get better and better. So there'll be a little bit less dead noise, or what do you call it, me rambling about crap. Hopefully I'll stay focused. So let's see, this is indexing. I guess I could have paused the video, but I just kept rambling. Okay, we're almost done. Looks like it's going to be done soon. My computer's pretty fast, but I do have desktop recording software running, so we'll see. Oh, not too bad. All right, so a fragment. What are fragments? Fragments are small activities, and they come in sets. There's an activity.java file that goes with it, and then there's an XML file. And if we use this as a template, what we're familiar with already in this particular example is main activity.java. Main activity.java uses the resource here, the r.layout. It's using activity_main, which is the default activity that prints hello world to the screen. Okay. What we're going to do is create two more, and we're going to stick them inside of this one. So these are called fragments. So they're baby activities. So there's a couple of ways of doing it. We can create them all together because we noticed that we have activity_main XML. This is, in fact, here, I'll do it this way. Copy and paste and stick it in here. We don't need this one anymore. Where did my Android go? Here it is. I'm going to replace the activity_main with these two files. I thought I could make this a little bit bigger. Yes, I can. There we go. I'm just going to remove what's in here and put this new layout. So I'm changing the layout. Now we don't have the pieces yet, so we're going to get a little red errors going on here. But what we've got in here, and here we go, are two fragments. And so I didn't call it com_fragment.main_activity, and maybe, you know what, now I'm thinking I probably did this in class. So if you saw this live in class, well, this is a repeat. Fragments, I called it fragments. I did the same mistake, I believe, in the class as well. That's why I'm remembering this right now. But, well, I'll continue with the video. I think this might be a repeat. You know, with all of the days off and stuff, it was hard to remember what I did and what I didn't do. But in any case, you can run through fragments again. Excuse me. All right, we don't need this auto line here. I'm going to take this out too. Anything in gray is not being used, so I just removed it. Okay, so this is the layout, the linear layout. We are familiar with that. I changed the context so it's pointing, and we don't need this line anyway. We probably could just removed it. Pointing to fragments.main activity because I called my project fragments. And we have two fragments. These are the fragment components, fragment number 1 and fragment number 2. And fragment number 1, actually I can change the path right now as well because I already know I called it fragments with an S. These are going to load many activities with many XML screens. And so we're sticking two separate activities with interface files, with the XML interface files, inside of the main activity and the main interface file. So we're compounding it, sticking two baby activities inside of the main activity. Why? Because we want to double it up, and we're going to split the screen left and right, and we're going to have two different activities. So we're going to have fragment 1 and fragment 2. So I know we have some red stuff. We'll leave that alone. I switched, because I called my project fragments, I switched the path around there a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and close this guy right now. And we did the activity_main. So now we need to create the fragment 1 and the fragment 2.xml files. And we also need to create the fragment 1 and the fragment 2.java files. And I do remember doing this in class, actually, and I did them all separately. I showed you in class how to create the XML files as layouts and how to create the Java file as one class object. So let me do it a different way this time, and I'll show you the more automated way of doing it where we can do them both together. Because really what we want to do is add another two more activities, fragment 1 and fragment 2 activities. So fragment1.java and fragment2.java, and then I want to automatically add the XML screens, and there's a little button I can click when I do that that will do it for me. So I'm going to go up to File, and I'm going to go to New, and I'm going to go down to Activity, and we want to do a basic activity. I guess I could do an empty activity. Let me do an empty activity. I'm going to do the empty activity option. And down here it says Generate Layout File. That's the little button I was talking about there. And so I'm going to call this one Fragment 1. And it's going to generate activity_fragment1 for me. And I believe I've called it, this is just fragment 1 and fragment 2.xml in the code. So we could change those names. We don't actually have to use those names. I'm just going to call this one then fragment 1. We don't have to launch the activity. It's okay. It's going to be in this package, and we're going to use Java as the source code. So this is a way of creating the layout automatically. And if I click on finish, let's see what happens with this. So in the fragment folder, I've got my fragments. And guess what? I have it just like the main activity. I have it in a set where I have the fragment XML file and I have the fragment1.java. So I did not do this when I demonstrated it in class. So this is a slight twist. If we don't do it this way, you can manually add in the .java file for the activity and then manually add in the resource layout file, but it takes more work. So anyway, that's what I did in class. So let's do it again because we want to add another. We want to add fragment 2. So I'm going to go File, New, and I'm going down to the activity. I'm just going to do the basic activity. This is just like if I used the menu in the beginning. So I'm going to call this one Fragment 2, and I'm going to make this guy here fragment 2, and I'm going to generate the layout file. I'm going to press on finish. So now I have fragment 1 and I have fragment 2, and just in case you're still learning and you haven't moved past this stage yet, you know they come in sets. Hopefully you know that by now, and each activity should have its own XML file. Okay. So let's go ahead and, so these activities here are just loading on the XML file. If I take a look at the activities here, we see it is slightly different. There's an uncreate view in here. I'm going to go ahead and take the fragment 1 and the fragment 2 code and replace it and talk about this for a few minutes here. So the activity that we created was the basic empty activity that does the onCreate menu, extends app activity. It has an onCreate method, excuse me, I meant to say method, and that runs and sets the context view. So let's get rid of this for a second, and I'm going to paste in the code in the example here and talk about duplicate class found in file. Oh, let's take a look here. We'll get there for a moment here. I am in fragment 2. Am I in fragment 1? Let's see what I did. Get rid of this one. Oh, because I put fragment 1 in the fragment 2 file. All right, let's go back. Let's take the fragment 2 code and stick it in the fragment 2 file, because otherwise I'll be fine defining the same file twice. All right, my bad. It's probably because I am in the habit of closing these tabs up here, and I did not close the tabs, and I clicked on the wrong tab. All right, so I am pasting the fragment 2 code into the fragment 2 file. There we go. So what do I've got? And then here, actually, I'll do fragment 1 while I'm thinking about it, so I don't forget. And then I'll talk about what it is I did. All right, so now I'm going to click on fragment 1, and I'm going to put this code in here too. So there we go. All right, there we go. Let's talk about this. They're both pretty much the same. They're setting, let's just talk about it. So this is extending fragment, not extending app activity. So we still have the bundle, same concept. We still have the layout inflator, the view, but we have a view group. And now we have Android x.fragment.app.fragment, what we're importing. And we're making a fragment, we're not making an app activity. So this guy here extends app compact activity. This guy here and this guy here both extend fragment. So that's, we're inheriting from fragment. OnCreate is the OnCreate. Both of the OnCreates look the same. They are calling the OnCreate. OnCreate view for the fragment, that's when we're going to use the layout. So this is fragment 1, and this is going to inflate the layout for r.layout.fragment1. And it's going to put in the container. that is specified in our main activity. So if you go back to activity_main.xml, make sure that these are no longer red. We have a XML entry for Fragment 1, which is going to be using Fragment 1, and we have one for Fragment 2. So we're taking these two class files with their corresponding XML files, and we're loading it inside of the main activity XML file. They're both the same. This one's loading Fragment 2. This one's loading Fragment 1. So similar on create, but we need to do the view on create view to get, because we're now working with a view group, which is two views together in a grouping. So we have to inflate it through the on create view, not the on create method. So it's a little bit different. In the main activity here, we set the context view in the on create. In the fragments, we do it through the on create view. So let's put the code in now for Fragment 1 and Fragment 2. So I kind of did this in a backward order, but so I'm going to take Fragment 1 code and stick it in the, just remove everything in there. Oops, yikes, a little fast with the mouse there. Paste. There we go. And I have to change my path because I called it Fragments. It is not main activity, it's Fragment 1. So what do we have here? This one's going to set the background to a particular color. All we're doing is setting the context to Fragment 1 in the fragment1.xml interface. And it's going to be pretty blank. We're just going to put text on the screen that says Fragment 1. There's a little bit of text view. It's kind of like hello world. And then for Fragment 2, we are going to do, let's just copy and paste this one here. We're just going to set the background color to a different color and put Fragment 2 in a text view on the screen. So you can stick anything you want inside. You have full layouts going on here. And then I'm going to change my fragment to Fragments because it's I used an S. Make sure you got your path correct. This should match this. If it doesn't, it's going to be red. And so this one's going to set, I can't remember what color that one is, but it's going to set the background color to that color and then put a text view that says Fragment 2 on it. It's hard to see it, so let's run it and crash bang and see what happens. Hopefully it'll run. It should run. All right, I did not start the emulator before the video, and I do have some screen recording software running, so this is a test, so we'll see what happens here. I'm pretty sure it'll load just fine. It's installing it. It's a pretty powerful computer. It should load, should run. Crossing my fingers. In the future, I will start the emulator before the video. I probably should have done that. Save a little bit of time. But if it takes too much time, I'll pause the video and come back to it. It looks like it's loading though. It looks like it's installing. It's not taking up too much time, although I hear my fan going off. We'll see what happens. It should load the fragments with the two windows though. Okay, so for this class, now that I have some dead air, I'll just continue talking. For this class, I'll probably record multiple videos per week, and I'll separate them out by concepts. So the next concept that we're going to get into after Fragments is going to be the Google Maps. And so that's the next one I will record, and I will demonstrate the Google Maps to you because you'll need that for the next programming assignment. And I'll go over that assignment in the next video. So if I separate them out in the future and then I label them appropriately, in the future if you only do fragments, here's a good fragment example. All right, because this is taking a while, oh no, here it is. I was going to pause the video, but here it is. Okay, so it does work. We have the outer main activity that has the bar on the top, and then we have Fragment 1 and we have Fragment 2 with the two different background colors. So you could theoretically stick in here, I don't know, more things, pictures, videos, controls. And I basically have two separate apps or mini activities running in the same activity. So fragments are just how it sounds. They're small mini activities that run together. You put multiple fragments together. You can put them inside of a main app. You can split the screen into 4. I just put 2 of them in here. You can put any number of fragments that you want in a single activity. So, okay, so if you did not attend class for the fragment example, I know attendance has been kind of low with the coronavirus and all, and you want to know about fragments because you'll probably want to use them eventually in an app. This concludes the demonstration. I will pick up in the next video with another concept. Now, because this is kind of new, I haven't done video recording in a while, you might have some comments or some suggestions to make, like, oh, I can't hear you, or there's like a lot of background noise on the keyboard, or I don't know. Or maybe there's some things you want to see. You've got more flexibility in this format because I can make as many videos as you want, or you can show whatever it is you want to see. So if there's a particular topic, you're waiting to find out about, or there's some criticism of some sort, keep it positive about the format of the videos or something, send me an email. Also, my office hours are going to be by email and by telephone or Zoom. So we need to do everything online until we get the until we get the green flag to go back into the classroom. So in the meantime, let's have fun with it, and we do what we can do. And if you do have any questions, comments, concerns, email or the telephone is the best way of reaching me. So I hope you enjoyed the video and stay tuned for the next one. Happy programming.